This quick Photoshop tutorial, we're going to again look at how you can use the selection tools as well as the cloning or the paintbrushing tools, and maybe even do some weird kind of copy and paste of some small objects in order to do something that's on a kind of a bigger scale. So what I want to do with this picture is I want to get rid of her, all these people back here, and then I want to move her in basically this spot, and I want to move this guy so he's somewhere down in here. So the first thing that I'm going to go ahead and end up doing, I'm going to hide these, I'll come to those later, is I would normally take my background and I would go ahead and I would duplicate it. That way, whatever I do, I'm not going to hurt the background. And I've already started to make a really rough mask here. So I'm just going to go ahead and re-access that. I'm going to hit Q so that you can see that. Those are the people I want to protect. I want nothing to do with the rest of the people for the most part. I have along the way though, I'm going to turn the quick mask off and deselect that. I have come in here and I have made a selection around her. Now it didn't have to be very good, so it's just awful along in here. The only good place is along in here, as I'm going to slide her underneath. And then I also made a selection on this guy up here. Again, got this huge hole in the shirt in two places where other people's heads were. I did make a reasonably decent selection on that up there. And after making those, all I did was I drew a rectangle on them, went up to edit, pulled down to copy, then I went up to edit and I pulled down to paste, and it put them on new layers. And I'm going to hide them for right now. So I'm going back to this background layer. And I'm once again going to reaccess my mask. And I've got several different ways to do this. I could use one of the selection tools, click Refine Edges, make some kind of an adjustment here, and tell it to be a new layer with the mask, which is going to go ahead and put it right here. Here's my people cut out with the mask on it. Or, quite frankly, if you'd rather, this isn't necessarily the best way to do this when you're learning how to make a mask, but for what I'm going to do, I'm going to separate those people and then I'm going to fuse them back in. I'm not really going to use my mask as the final transparency kind of mask. So I could get away with simply coming in here, making the selection from here, and going up to Edit Copy, and then go Edit Paste to put them on top so that that's all I see right now. While I'm doing this, I'm going to move this down here just so I can see what's going on. That's great. So these people are on top of my background, and these people who are cut out here are also on top of this background copy, which is the thing I'm going to destroy right now. I could choose to select white as my color and just get myself a fairly large brush, and I could just start painting with white. Gotta make sure I don't have the mask on. I gotta be on this layer here. And literally just go ahead and start to attack those people and get rid of them. And in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of her too. And just leave on this layer the people I want to keep. And then I could go ahead and still look at what that looks like if I have the background layer on eventually. Then what I can do after I've done that is I can go ahead and bring my girl back into play. I'm going to go get the arrow tool here, click on the girl, and then as I do that I can slide her, especially if I put her underneath that group. That's my mask, and I can choose where to put her. This close, I can slide her in and have her be this close. I might want to see some of the hands, because if I slid her under and I only saw just that much of her fingertips or this much of her skirt down here, it's just going to look like an error. She's leaning at an extreme angle. So one more thing I might want to do on her is go up to Edit, Free Transform. If I move my tool out beyond any corner, I get basically a quarter of a circle with arrows on both ends. I could rotate her to stand her up a little bit straighter, maybe about there. And then I can come back on in and I could slide her wherever I wanted her to be and put her right about here. I have probably enough of the fingertips and enough of her skirt that she looks okay at this point. Same kind of thing, I'm going to go back to the guy, grab him. He needs to be under this group of people. If I moved him all the way down here, the hole in the shirt's going to disappear and everything's going to be great. But then I got three heads that are right in a row. So I am going to leave him up a bit, maybe about in here. And then after I do that, I'm going to zoom in on that guy. And I'm going to just go ahead and use the clone tool. I'm only hurting the guy layer. I'm not hurting these people on top who are protecting everything. So I'm going to come in here and zoom in a bit, or reduce the size of my brush. And using the clone tool, I'm going to option click, and I'm going to go ahead and paint some more of his shirt back on in to fill this up. If I didn't think that I had enough up in this area, I've got another white shirt. I could always clone sample from here. I'd have to reduce the picture way down to do that, but option click here and drag across that. So now I feel better about where he is, or actually we might just click him over a couple times. And then to fix her, could come back on in and use either a white brush or the clone stamp tool and be on her layer, and then just very carefully walk in with white sample from out here and option click on that, and start to slowly work to kind of brush some of the stuff out if I was going to take the time to do that right now. But otherwise, I've moved those people around. Now, if for some reason I really wanted to not leave all these different pieces, I could save it as a Photoshop file right now and leave all these different pieces for future editing. The other thing that I could end up doing, if I wanted to, is I'm just going to throw this layer away. If I've decided that I liked these people and I've done enough editing to them, I'm going to make sure that the eyeball is unchecked on the background, and I want to put all these pieces back together as one piece. If I come up here to this icon and pull down and tell it to merge visible, it'll fuse all my fixed layers back into one. So now I either have my fixed people, or if I turn the eyeball off on that, I have all of my original set. Either way, and then go back in and make sure that I save it as a Photoshop file. So in a way, I have copied and pasted. I made a mask to help protect everything. I made several different cuts and layers to be able to slide underneath. That original mask of these people that's way up here was made simply so that I could bring them to the top. And then I've completely messed up some of the lower images, like this one. This is the original copy of the background, where I was using the white brush to just streak underneath. Who cares what this looked like? It's never going to be shown. It's always going to be covered up by these pieces. And then again, I could fuse them, not fuse them. So that's one way to attack a problem like this.